In this video, we are going to see indirect file load by using Informatica IICS. Basically, in Informatica IICS, there are three ways of loading multiple files at once, like by using uh, file list method, or by using command path method, or by using, I'll show you just a sec. So, in general, there are two ways of loading files, multiple files, at the same time. So for that, actually, we are going to process multiple files of same structure at once. For example, if you see here, I have three files, file 1, file 2, and file 3. File 1, if you open and see the file 1 is having these many columns like ID, employee ID, first name, last name, and age. File 2 is also having same column name. So if you observe this clearly, it's a delimited file with a comma delimiter, and both the files are having same structure. Even the file 3 is having the same structure. So first method we are going to see process these three files at once is by using file list. To use file list, actually, apart from these three files, we need to create one more file, which is also a text file, but that file will have only the uh, path, location for these files. Let's see how to create that file. Let's open a new text file. Let's name it as file list underscore one. So this is the file which we are going to process. So this file should contain the paths for these files. So for example, I am copying this path. I'm opening this one. So the first file is file underscore one dot txt, as it is a text file. So file one is completed. Now I am adding the remaining two files as well. So the second one is file2.txt, and the third one is file3.txt. So my file is ready. So I'm saving this one and closing this one. Not only three files, if you have even 100 files also, what we need to do is like we need to just add all the parts of those files in this separate text file. So now let's go to Informatica Cloud Console. Let's close the existing one. Let's open a new mapping. I'm going to mappings, click on mapping here. Now we'll be seeing a source and target. Let's configure the source. Let's source be src underscore file, and configure the source. I'm using the local connection where my all the files are present. Not all the files, actually the list of the files that I created. The file with the list of files which I created. Now I'm connecting to that one. That my connection is local connection, and we need to select a part, the other option, that is file list. We need to change the source type to file list. So, and the object is something like I'm selecting the object which I created just before. I'm not selecting the actual files. I'm just selecting the file which I created. So file list underscore one. This is the file which I created now for processing these three files. So I'm clicking on OK, and coming to target. I'm just creating a target during the runtime. I will generate the target in the real time. So local connection, single object, and the object will be, I'll be creating the object in the real time. So create new at runtime. I'm selecting this option, create new at runtime, and the static file name I'm giving. pgt.txt. Okay, I'm giving the static file name. So I'm also configuring the formatting options for the target. So in the target, what I'm looking for is like I'm still using a comma delimiter, not having any column row delimiter. In text qualifier also I'm not having any, so I'm selecting none. Field labels I will be importing from row 1, so I'm keeping all the settings as it is, clicking on OK. So after that, I'm naming this mapping as m underscore indirect file load using file list. Okay, so I'm just validating this one. You can see here mapping is valid, so I can save this one. So now the mapping is saved. Now I need to create a mapping task for this one. So I'm going to task, I'm clicking on mapping task, create. So for the mapping task, I'm using the same naming convention. Instead of M, I'm using empty. So location is default location only. My mapping is present in the default location only. So I'm attaching the current mapping to this one, mapping task. So indirect file load, I'm clicking and selecting. Okay. Now my mapping is ready. My mapping task is ready. I'm clicking on next. I'm not configuring any schedule or email notifications or any advanced properties. So I'm just saving this mapping task. So my mapping is completed. My mapping task is also completed. You see my target folder. There is no any target file present currently. So now what I'm doing is like I'm running this mapping task. Click on run. So if I go to my job, I can see my current job is starting. Just clicking on refresh. Let's wait for a second, like it will be starting in a few seconds. Now my mapping task is running. Let it finish the process. So total 12 record got processed. You see the log. From source it said 12 records and it loaded 12 records to the target. If you see here, there is a file list TGT file got created. If I open this one, I can see all the 12 records from the three files. Each file is having 4 records each, and all records got processed and loaded into a single file. So this is one of the way of processing multiple files at once. So for this, first we need to create a file with the paths for all the source files. How many files you have, you can add all the paths of those files here, and this file will be used as a source file. So now this is one way of processing multiple files at once. We call this one as indirect file load by using file list method. So if you see here, the source type is file list. So we call it as file list method. The other way is command task. By using a command task, we can also process multiple files. So in the coming video, we'll see how to process multiple files using a command task. Simply indirect file load using command task.